In the room. Again, thank you guys for coming. Tonight, we're going to try to hustle through this thing pretty quickly. They even gave me cards to stick to the script. So we're going to, first of all, just say thank you for joining us. We're going to have a very exciting evening. We've got some power players in the room all together working on solutions to really get ahead, be competitive with this whole AI solutions. We've got some powerhouse folks here that we're going to introduce shortly. First, we wanted to make sure that we thank our sponsor, Intel. How about a round of applause for Intel? Yay! We also want to thank Pressy Taste for hosting this wonderful event. Yay! My name is James Floyd. I'm an operating partner here at Freedom Avenue. We're an investment company, and we invest in our portfolios that and we know that's going to be innovative and take things to the next level. And we're very, very, very proud to be an investor in Pressy Taste. They've been great partners with us for a number of years, and we're just excited about the potential. We know with this group, we're going to be able to tap into the full potential. There's been a lot of questions around AI and how to use it. We've got some powerhouse leaders up here that we're going to introduce to talk about how they're using it and how we can actually take it to the next level. So this is going to be a very brief session, maybe 40 minutes or so with some Q&A. There's a few things that we're going to try to make sure that we accomplish through this. One, we really want to share with you the application of AI. We know it's scary, but here's how it can make us more productive, profitable, as well as provide a better customer experience for our crew and our customers. The other thing is, this is the time to really put the pedal to the metal. We have an opportunity to really break through with AI like never before. People are a little worried. We go to a number of sessions, seminars, conferences. People are still trying to just sit tight to see where it's going, but the folks that are actually applying it are actually starting to pick up a lot more momentum and traction. So we're going to be able to talk a little bit about all of that tonight. We've got some great leaders in the room. Again, I've got several times we want to thank Intel again. What I'd like to do first of all is start to introduce our powerhouse panel here. We're going to start with Chef Bill Kim, who's been a wonderful friend. We've known each other for years. He's doing some phenomenal things. And he is a prize-winning chef and owner of Urban Belly right here in Chicago. How about a hand for Bill Kim? Next, we've got another power player, Dan Appleton, who's the COO of Mac Hyatt of the restaurant group, which is the leading franchise of First Watch. I don't know if many of you guys have seen First Watch, but you got to really keep an eye on them. I've been there several times. It's a wonderful experience, and they're growing and doing some wonderful things. So thank you for joining us, Dan. And then last but not least, Dr. who's been one of our great partners who really doesn't need an introduction, but he's taught us a lot about AI, and it's just amazing about where AI has been. You know, I was working on AI as a young engineer many, many years ago, even with IBM, and it's amazing where it's come since then. You know, we've had several iterations with Watson, etc. But we will share with you some of the things that Pressy Taste is doing that we didn't even imagine. We've got AI doing AI now, ML. It's very fascinating. So thank you for hosting today. All right. So let's get started. We're going to start with kind of Q&A with some of our panelists. And this question really is going to Dan and Bill. We're going to start with you two, depending on who feels most passionate about this question. But, you know, what are the primary operational challenges that you're facing today, and how is AI helping to solve them?
Well,
All right.
for us, it's I think most of you guys feel it's labor. For us, it's it's tough training, getting highly skilled, even just skilled labor to do some of the functions that we need them to do. I come from a fine dining background, so used to be, you had inspiring chefs and cooks that want to do this for a living, and now, since 2008, we opened up a fast casual restaurant, so I always like to say, I like to play defense. So what do we need to do is play defense in order for us to play offense. So to have these systems created, so when you do go fast and quick, these are some of the boundaries that we set for us to do things correctly. And for us to have Cressy Taste, the prep assistant in our kitchen for almost 2 years now, it's made a huge difference of, first, giving people the confidence to do the work. Also, there is accountability of prep times that are set when you start the assistant. There's also the part where, and I know since you guys own restaurants or are part of restaurants, you have date diets, right? You can't see them, you don't know what's labeled, you don't know who signed it, and you don't know shelf life sometimes. As you finish the task, you have a Bluetooth printer that prints out what you did time-wise and shelf life. It's really gave the confidence to our crew. A lot of our members don't speak English, so it's very hard for them to write things out, and they have to find something that looks like that, or go ask somebody how to spell it. Now with the task prep assistant, it's all like taking that part away, and it gives them the ease and the confidence to do the work that they need to do.
That's great. Dan, you want to weigh in on that?
What he said. There's no question that I think our industry's completely changed since the pandemic. I mean, think about it. We all know you can build a restaurant in the past and expect people to come to you. Now you got to figure out how do we get to you, right? Our margins are smaller. Restaurants cost a lot more money to build. The labor is much more expensive. Every single day you watch the news, you're seeing something happen, commodity costs or bacon or avocados or things like that. And the reality is, I think consumers are price fatigued. I mean, who's been to a restaurant, a fast casual restaurant, kind of go to a kiosk, order your own food and give it a tip? That didn't happen prior to the pandemic. So I think people are price fatigued, and you can't keep taking price to make your margins good. So and let's be honest with ourselves, they don't build managers like they used to from back in the day. So how do you maintain your margins? How do you grow top line sales? And how do you execute your brand without compromising your brand? And isn't that like the $1 million question that we all struggle with on a daily basis? And so I think what the challenge we have is how to solve that Rubik's Cube and do it in a way that it's kind of the Wizard of Oz effect. You've got the wizard on stage and no one sees what's going on behind. And if you can effectively do that, then you're doing what a lot of other people are not doing. They're not compromising their quality of food. They're not compromising service when you walk in your restaurant. I mean, it doesn't feel good to go to a fast food restaurant and you walk in there, they stare at you. And then they point to the kiosks for you to go to. And you realize they're making $20 an hour to do that, right? And the reality is, though, is that that's what the world is. So how do you do this by empowering your brand and then grow your brand? And I think that's the biggest challenge. And I think what this allows us to do is it kind of puts us on the offense by playing the defense, like you said, and do some things that nobody's doing. And it's kind of that Wizard of Oz effect up front.
That's awesome, guys. You know what? These are two powerhouse guys at the top of the food chain, and they stay totally close to the front line. And we all know that it's not going to work unless the folks on the front line really embrace it. So, thank you guys for setting the tone. Ingo, let's talk a little bit about what these challenges. What makes Cressy Taste so different and unique? There's a lot of quote AI solutions out there. I can't go anywhere without somebody saying, "Oh, and it's AI driven." It's like, really, nobody knows what to believe. help us understand, what makes Presentate so unique and different?
Yeah, isn't there an AI for it?
Yeah.
Quick test, like who has in the past 2 days used a chat-based LLM? Please raise your hand. Like from Google or from, yeah. So I asked this a lot, normally 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 hands raise up. And it's since 2 years we see more and more applications, also large language model going into all the different applications, but it also has limitations. It cannot drive my car, it cannot prep my meal, because you need dedicated AI capabilities to do that. And I think that's one of how we are setting ourselves apart, is we always have been a food company that has developed AI applications for food. If you even take computer vision, there are computer vision models that may identify a burger. It would be a good computer vision model if it can actually identify a burger patty from not a bun on it, but that's about it. It will never tell you this is a quarter pounder or this is a 10-to-1. And these kind of details you need to know if you want to actually deliver something useful in the food industry. And that's part of how we try to make AI accessible and relevant. So we're not only providing tools, we're working with you. So starting to work with us is not just getting a tool and then you never see us. It's actually a more project on how we come in, and then Kenny, as he explained, works with the people in the restaurant to actually get it running and to kind of help overcome mostly just like the first moment, try it. Just try it and see how relevant it is. I like how you talked about that guys, don't even trust the AI, just use it. Working with it, you're learning from the AI to trust it, but also, very importantly, the AI learns from you how to become more relevant. So once we're in the first deployment in the restaurant, our unique AI is not like an internet mothership. It is an agent, AI agent, that is in your restaurant and learns from your crew on how to be most relevant, most helpful for this specific restaurant at this specific time of day, at this specific season, for this specific use case. Something else where I see there are not that many AI models that are so different in application. It can be a salad bar, can be sushi, can be pizza, can be burger. You name it, we work with it. And we have a process design in the background that already is preset for all those different restaurant types. And then once you start working with our predictions and have the AI taking care of the numbers, which usually the crew doesn't want to do or doesn't like doing because they would like to take care of their guests or they would like to cook. My favorite quote from a crew person is, "Hey, you guys, you take the suck out of the work." And that's something I really like and where I feel proud of what we do. I see this tonight as also a great challenge to get different perspectives. I always learn from each of those different restaurant operations because each one is different, it has unique challenges, but usually we can help in many different ways.
That's awesome. I just wanted to add to that Presentate does integrate into a number of platforms. We had a chance to work with Josh from Beast, and I tell you, it's very impressive when you start to talk with other folks in the organization. And for somebody who's in the game for over 30 years, when you have a new system, it's scary. And you know how managers never want to run out of food. They don't know what's going to happen with their food costs, but the systems always beat them. Always. But you got a promotion coming. I was with McDonald's, so people do not run out of Big Macs, right? They're double water, triple water. And it's like, what do we do with all of that stuff? And for the restaurants that we said, just trust the system, they were phenomenally better. And it's just because it's a hard thing to change bad habits, right? You need to do new things in new ways and old things in new ways, however that goes. But you got to trust the system. And Also, we didn't mention that it's kind of an end-to-end with Pressy Taste, you know. It starts with the very beginning of the journey all the way throughout with prep, computer vision, the bakery. Moritz is going to be doing tours, right? A little plug for you, man. Plug for you. Yeah. Not only Moritz with the oven, but we want to thank Intel once again. Okay. So I wanted to just say that we're really excited about all of the things we're doing. Now we want to flip this question over to Bill about how AI looks in the kitchens that you're working in, and from training to implementation and reporting, how is it helping productivity?
Yeah. So how it looks, we have a tablet in our kitchen, and basically when somebody comes in, they're already assigned with their names associated with the prep that they need to do. It's divided between lunch and dinner. Our business is about 60%, 40% lunch, 60% dinner. So bulk of the prep gets done in the morning. We don't have a separate crew. Our cooks actually prep for dinner. So it makes it challenging, but the lunch prep people, they understand that is their task. And the dinner people, when they come, they're just taking what has been prepped by the morning crew to make the prep last until the night ends. Usually, you get the morning crew fighting with the dinner crew, so now, since it's divided by percentage, and we know also, in a restaurant setting, we all know you get maybe 2 hours of peak time for lunch, then 3 hours for dinner. So you have 5 hours to get ready for that moment, and you have 10, 11 hours of service that need to fit the criteria of you being profitable. So splitting that up, also being able to track the peak, and also knowing that you have a machine learning system and it's tracking everything every day, the weather, the waste. Eventually, we'll get to the inventory part of it where it's, working on Pressy Taste is working on the inventory management. So if you can imagine forecasted revenue, the labor that you need to have, the revenue that supposedly generated, you could talk to it like a chatbot and be able to order all the things that you need based on the P-mix that is integrated with your point of sale system, and tell it to find the best prices on all the vendors that you use and order it twice a week. That's going to happen. And that's it's not replacing somebody, it's redirecting their workload to another form, right? In the morning, when I was the manager, you go in, you look at the P-mix, you look at the forecasted revenue, then you make a decision what you're going to do. All that's done by AI. And decision making is kind of taken away, and it's based off of data, live data that's being tracked every single day. And there's still places that we don't have Pressy Taste. We still manually do it. It's a pain. I'm just like, why don't I do it at all the restaurants? So when we got the chance to work with Pressy Taste, we did it at our flagship restaurant to keep an eye on it. And for us, it's a must. We need it. And our crew members, in the beginning, were like, what is this? Is this going to take my job? Then after a couple weeks, they're like, where's the tablet? Where's the tablet? Why, So they are accustomed to it. And now it doesn't matter who works, who doesn't work. There's a tablet there that's going to keep track of what's happening. And the workload is being seen instead of a piece of paper, scratch marks, it gets wet, it gets burnt, whatever. Now this keeps track, and you can also go back in time to see all the prep that has been done over the months and the months after. And I know people don't keep prep lists in the kitchen, so it's definitely helped us be more organized, more productive, and even though we work with food and we call it food business, I call it people business, and it's giving people the confidence that they could do the job right, and it seems like there's a manager on duty all the time.
So how do you get over that fear of the folks that are scared of the AI tool? And, you know, there's just an elephant in the room. People used to always say, man, it's going to replace me. Any thoughts on that?
I don't think it's ever going to be replaced because you need somebody to prep the food. It's assisting and making your job a little bit easier because, you know, I cook for a living, and unless I have somebody in the kitchen telling me what's right or wrong, you know, you don't know until it's finished. Now you have the recipe. If you don't know the recipe, you can press a tablet, it has it. Eventually, we're working on videos, so it knows exactly what needs to be done. So it's like refortifying what you have learned, and it's showing you what needs to be done. So it's constant guidance of what you need to be successful.
Thank you. Now we're going to move over to Dan again. Dan is the Chief Operating Officer for First Watch. First Watch is a very unique experience. So if you haven't been there, you've got to go. It's different. It's wonderful. Jeff was over there. He met someone from First Watch, and man, he went, oh my gosh, this is incredible. It's different. And they closed it too. What time do you guys close?
2:30.
2:30. All good. So, Dan, question for you. Would you share any of the results in terms of what you've been seeing so far and maybe what you might be expecting in the future from the tools?
Before I answer that, I just got a text to thank Intel again for an awesome evening.
Thank you for that. What do you
Yeah, I made that up on the fly. That was funny.
No more of that.
Anyways,
That text too.
yeah, I got a text from him. I'm just kidding. So, you know, if I can take a step back, if that's cool with you. So, when this was first presented to us a year ago, I said, well, what do we want to solve? Listen, I am not the smartest. I'm actually the least smartest person in this room, so I think real simple. How do we win? What does winning look like? So we started by saying, okay, well, winning in a restaurant means that you don't run out of food. Bonus, right? If it's supposed to be hot, it's hot. Agreed? If it's cold, it's supposed to be cold. Cool. And at the end of the day, you kind of want to make money. We all in agreement to that? Okay. So if that's our North Star, how is this going to help us? And now I'm the guy that'll say, okay, well, how much is it going to cost us? Well, and beyond cash, what is this going to cost us from a culture perspective and a brand perspective, blah, 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 blah. And so a question was posed to the team that says, well, what if we could answer all those questions with a yes? We don't run out of food. It's hot when it's hot, cold when it's cold, and we can make money. If we can do that, do you want to give it a shot? I said, okay. So we started looking at the very basics. So on our menu, for one of our brands, we have 74 prep items for 32 menus, 32 menu items, okay? So who here is in culinary or a chef or has developed R&D? Raise your hand if you have, or who's in a restaurant, or who got an invitation here just because of the free food? Raise your hand. Okay, so shelf life is built on quality of product, right? So a diced Roma tomato in some restaurants has a 1.5 day shelf life or 2, sometimes 1. But if I eat that tomato on day 5, am I going to die? No, I'm not. The shelf life is to protect the integrity of that product, right? Which in turn protects the integrity of the brand. We have items that have a 7-day shelf life, a 5-day shelf life. That doesn't mean it's going to kill somebody on day 6 or day 8, right? So what if I were to take all 72 of those prep items, understand what their shelf lives are, but I can determine how frequently I want to prep them. Okay? So if a 7-day shelf life, if I said I want to prep it every 4 days, but I built my part at 7, one, I'm not going to run out of product, right? And when I do that, if I line them up on a 7-day calendar, I can say, well, I could probably average about 35 items a day. So why is that important for operations? Well, we all know that our back of the house is behavior-based, right? Doesn't matter what language you speak, it's a behavior. And how I can tell you that? Who's ever closed on Christmas Eve in your restaurant? Isn't it amazing how fast the staff gets out on Christmas Eve? Isn't it? But the slowest day of the year is Super Bowl in some of our restaurants. It's like, come on, I just want to watch the second half. Let me get out of here, right? You've got to find the motivation, but it's a behavior. So if we can normalize the prep schedule at 35 items a day, what happens? What's the cost benefit? You can normalize your labor output. So here's a real life example. Most restaurants are busier on Saturday, Sunday. Fair statement? Sometimes 60% of our sales in a week are Saturday and Sunday. So what happens? Operators say, well, let's beef up the prep on Thursday, Friday, so we can execute Saturday, Sunday. What's the slowest day of the week, typically? Monday, Tuesday. But yet they have no prep. So Monday and Tuesday, they're spending all these labor hours just to catch up from the kick-ass weekend they just had. And then their DO calls them on Tuesday, what the hell's wrong with your labor? Right? So what does that operator do? They don't get that call on Wednesday from the DO. So they start cutting their labor. So what happens on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? They're tanking sales and execution because they're short-staffed. Right? So over time, top-line sales starts to drop. And then I can only tell you what happens after that. So if I can normalize the prep schedule, and if I can normalize the labor line, it doesn't matter if it's Monday or Saturday, I'm prepping the same amount. So now I have another choice to make as an operator. I can say either A, I cut the schedule, or I can redistribute those hours to execute. So what happens when you execute? Your speed of service improves. What happens when you execute? Your comps and promos and voids go down on the floor. What happens when you execute? You turn your tables faster. So now you start training your consumer. Well, shoot. Oh, I almost said that. Beep. It's Chicago, though. It's okay. Oh, shoot. I know I can go there on a Wednesday now at noon and get out in 35 minutes because I got to get back to the office or whatnot, right? So all of a sudden over time, you see that top line start to grow. So the cost benefit, when you look at it that way, is I haven't cut anything. I've simply reorganized the way the prep is set, and I've redistributed the hours to execute. I don't want to run out of food. I want it hot, right? Here's other cost benefits. I said earlier, they don't have managers like they used to before. Who's ever onboarded a new manager, set the production, you ran out of food at 12:30 in the afternoon on Sunday, right? Now you got to go 86 something. Now you're pissing somebody off who waited all week long to come to that restaurant to get that item. We can actually, using AI, reduce the learning curve of that individual, and now they're set up for success on day one. Who's transferred a GM from one place to another? Same thing. You have historical data for that, right? It's doing it for you. So you asked me the cost benefit. That's the journey that we've been able to take for a year. So, I didn't lead with, I want to save labor, I don't want to save food costs. I didn't lead, I want to reduce comps and voids. I didn't lead, I want to, build top line sales and increase customer count, right? I led with, I just want to serve hot food, hot, cold food, cold, not run out. If we can do that, home run. And the benefit of that is that. And to piggyback on what we said earlier, our cooks come from environments where they have KDS monitors. They have kids that go to school, or they went to school where they're using iPads or Dell computers. So the technology gap for their familiarity is actually pretty small, we're finding out. They're used to it. Matter of fact, they look at you funny if you're not doing it, right? And so the gap you have to close is the manager's trusting it, and I just replace them if they don't. I'm just kidding. You guys feel what I'm talking about? And thank you, Intel.
Thank you. Drop the mic, man. Thank you. That's real talk. It doesn't get better than that. Blocking and tackling, and I'm glad he didn't just talk about labor and just plain food costs, because people are always like blah 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 blah. But that's real talk. So thank you. So Ingo, we're gonna move to you. Always a lot of noise and buzz about AI. But can you just talk to us a little bit about the future of restaurant AI?
Yeah, great question. So AI talk is increasingly about agentic AI, something we have been doing for a long, long time already, meaning we are creating agents that are very good at specific work set, rather than trying to create AI that is you can talk about sports with, and but not really about restaurants. So we have targeted AI agents that are getting better at what they do over time. And there are several outcomes that we will see near term and more long term from the work we do with incredible operators like Bill and Dan, who constantly give us feedback and say, wouldn't it be cool if we do that? Like, yeah, that would be really cool. And that's what, guess what? That's what we're working on now. And the AI is also working on now, we're taking the data to improve that. So at some point, if you use our platform, you're going to have the knowledge of all those, how to manage, how to tackle certain problems in that system integrated. And it knows how to work in downtown differently to what it does next to an interstate exit. So all this kinds of know-how is now a great part of this platform and can be used going forward. The way we see this going to develop in the kitchen is we start thinking about, okay, what's like the number one thing you want to have a kitchen operations management system. That's the start. And you can then operate across the predictions. It's great. Now you have this math geek in the background that optimizes supply and demand, something that is like going to be interesting to anyone in the industry. But you also can go deep. We divide the kitchen in different stations. We won the Kitchen Innovation Award for the Grill Station Assistant. That's one. We saw what we do with hotel pans. But we also saw on this show the global launch of the new Convertherm Mini. A great product, and thank you for the Convertherm crew for being so great partners for so many years. Because you see more and more incredible features, things we would have never dreamed about, starting to work with Convertherm, now being part out-of-the-box services in the Convertherm Mini that you have basically an AI assistant always watching what you do, counting what you do, like, no, this doesn't go there. You have like someone who is taking care of the stuff that you in repetitive tasks, a human being automatically gets a little bit tired about, but it helps the brand, and that's what I like about being a customer, to always deliver the best customer experience. Because in the end, and that's why we see more and more brands working with AI or trying different innovative technologies, it just helps you to be a better brand consistency on a consistent basis. Usually people start working with us to say, okay, can you save us food costs? Can you save us labor costs? But then we see a lot of great sales results on like 24% and more on increasing sales with just consistent quality and availability. So that's something that we will see more in terms of AI going into different stations that connect to it. And something I also can take care of deeply is, okay, if we optimize supply and demand, that's great. It's fresh. It's always quality. That's what you want for customers. But almost by earning money with it, you're also cutting your food waste. Industry standard is 1 to 2% of your revenue is probably just wasted. You take 1 to 2% of your revenue and put that into food waste. So you just put money into the garbage bin, and also you put CO2 emissions into the garbage bin. Because the land you needed, the water you needed to raise cattle, to bring in refrigerated supply chain, that to that place of goods sold just to be wasted. Nobody wants to see that, and that's just something that in the background we take care of, and that's why we feel on a mission to bring this supply and demand management anywhere as soon as possible.
Can I add something to what you just said about the future of it? So what's great about predictive prep is that you know what you're going to produce. You know what you're going to sell. So if you have those two factors in the equation, that means you know what you're going to purchase, right? So now I can control my cash flow. Huge. So if I can minimize the cash on the shelf and have that in the bank account, I can expand. I can create more opportunities. I'm not going to the bank and borrowing money and have a note on my P&L. So the future is, gosh, you can manage a cash flow too. I can save X amount on the P&L. I can grow my brand and I can fund myself. Cool. This is awesome.
Love it. We're gonna introduce Dollar Dan. That's all too, you know? So that's phenomenal. We're gonna get ready to wind this down. We've got a couple quick questions for the two of you guys. We know that a lot of operators are a little hesitant about AI. Have any recommendations or suggestions on how they can just get started? Both Dan and both.
I think part of it is you have to try. Labor's not gonna get any better. The food pricing is not gonna get lower. Operation, costs are probably gonna go up. So you have to kind of do something about it, even though you might be afraid to understand technology, but it's definitely gonna help, and it's gonna enhance, your crew's experience, just because they have something that's gonna protect them from making mistakes. And it's really, you have to be at the forefront now with more than ever. Just like Dan says, with COVID, our business used to be 70% dine-in, 30% takeout. So now it's like 60% takeout, 40% dine-in. And, we didn't make that change, the world did. So the more you look into the future, you gotta adapt to the environment. My wife always tells me, I talk about the good old days of cooking, and she's like, you have to adapt to your environment where your cooks are and understand it's not gonna go back. And the future is now, and now is having certain AIs to help you, especially in the kitchen, to be able to manage costs, save labor, and keep your product consistent every day.
Dan, any thoughts on, the folks that's a little hesitant, how to give a little jump start? Why they should act now?
Well, we removed all the Terminator movies out of the onboarding thing, so they didn't see the AI there, but that was a joke for those who weren't paying attention. Anyways, honestly, I think the learning gap is a lot closer than I think we anticipated. They're used to using it today. I mean, you've got things like Gemini and Google now. You've got Copilot and Microsoft. You got, was it Grok, thank you, from Tesla. And so I remember being in math, and I used a protractor, and I had a scientific calculator from Texas Instruments and all these things. Now I just ask Alexa, hey, what's this? So I think there is a natural evolution, particularly in the employee pool today out there. I think it's really about, sometimes you just got to cannonball in the pool and see where the water goes, And I think you just got to rip the Band-Aid off, and those who don't do it, they're going to realize they're about a year behind. Those who do it, they're going to realize they're a year ahead. And I just think sometimes you have a little faith in the progression of what we're doing. And look, the goal is to win. And I'll tell you one thing we did specifically with the team is every executive loves a dashboard, right? We get one-stop shop and see what's the score of the game. And if we all went to a Chicago White Sox game tonight, they'd probably lose. But if we went there and they took the scoreboard off, would that change our experience? We wouldn't know who's winning or losing, right? I look at the same thing in a restaurant. We need a scoreboard. What's winning or losing? So when we rolled this out, I got to go to Best Buy and buy a really cool Wi-Fi enabled monitor and put it in the kitchen. And we have the dashboard showing with every team member's name that's producing items. And we color code it based upon how well they're doing. So if you're a kitchen manager and you had a cook that was being unruly, you knew that you got your lead cook to go talk to that person because they could say things you couldn't, right? So if you use that peer pressure or that behavior in the restaurant, if they see their name turning yellow or red, you got the other cooks pushing them to go faster. They see the score all the time. And the manager knows at any given time of the day where they're at with their prep. They know what's not done, they know what is done, they know how long it's been taking. And the cool thing is, I get to see the whole company anytime I want. Cool for me, not for them, but my point being is that if we understand the score of the game, then you create a culture of competitiveness, right? And they want to win. People don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to lose today. They inherently want to win. Sometimes they don't know the pathway to get there. But if you can provide the pathway to do it, and the scoreboard determines they're doing it, that helps change the culture, and they embrace it quicker because they're kind of required to. And that's what we've done to kind of enhance that within the environment we're in.
That's awesome. You guys are both two wonderful coaches, you know, and I'll tell you, that means a lot, you know. Most people don't really, you know, connect the dots, and, you know, it's people's behavior that you guys know. So we're getting ready to wind this up, and this is the final question, Nico, for you. If anyone's interested in exploring any of these opportunities, what should they do?
Well, I think this is actually a very important point, because all the success we are hearing comes from a partnership with great companies and Pre-CTAs trying to be helpful in any way. So by definition, we're an open company to partnerships of different levels, not only to operators but also to other people in the ecosystem. Many of them are here tonight. We have been around for a while, so that we know a thing or two. But we're also still an innovative company that when you talk with us, like, hey, high frequency prep, that would be something awesome to do. That's something we can then incorporate. And projects and how, so Pre-CTA's team, please stand up so everybody knows who to talk to, right? These are the gentlemen that basically are your partners. And thank you also to the Pre-CTA's team and everyone being here tonight in this think tank event, how to really make AI relevant, how to be helpful, how to tackle many of the industry challenges. It comes from the work and evenings like this and your feedback, and so thank you to all of you.
I just want to say something. The best compliment I can give is that we're based in Texas, but you'd swear to God, Pre-CTAs was in our restaurants every day. They're in Dallas, they're in New York, they're all over the place, they're in Germany. And they're such a good partner, you'd swear they're in our restaurants every single day. Matter of fact, Kenneth knew more about my restaurants tonight than I did when he was out front talking about it. So thank you. But the best compliment I can give you is that for those of you who are thinking about it, they are a true partner because you think they're working with you every day in your restaurants on the front lines. Best compliment I can give you, Gil.
Okay, thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
I'd like to thank you, gentlemen. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. Learned a lot. We'll be around. I believe Morris is going to be doing a little tour in the kitchen, and thank you, Confidant. All the rest of the players that made this happen. We wanted to finally say thank you, Intel, for the last time. Hey, enjoy dinner. All right.